Welcome to Reflections, the podcast that biblically encourages, equips, and empowers women for apostolic life and service. Here's your host, Dr. Cindy Miller.
Welcome to Let's Talk, where we have conversations about life and faith and God and relationships, everything that matters to us as women. I'm Cindy Miller. I'm your host, and today we're talking about something that affects more women than most of us realize: our hearts. When you think of heart disease, you may picture a man clutching his chest, but here's the truth. Heart disease is actually the number one cause of death, killer, among women, and many of us never see it coming. My guest today, Regina Beardsley, is on a mission to help women understand their heart health, physically, emotionally, and even spiritually. Regina is my friend, and she is the wife of Dr. Stephen Beardsley, superintendent of the New Jersey-Delaware District. She is the very proud mom of 5 amazing grown adult children who she homeschooled from pre-K through graduation. Professionally, Regina is a board-certified medical surgical nurse and Daisy Award winner, serving as an RN3 and charge nurse at Wilmington Hospital with Christiana Care Health System. She is also a credentialed UPCI minister, a longtime ministry leader, and a contributor to our very own Reflections magazine. Welcome, Regina. We are so glad to have you on Let's Talk.
I'm very glad to be with you today.
Yeah, even with all the complications and all the scheduling and getting everything working right, we made it, and we're both feeling so passionate about this topic. And I'll tell you, in my research for this, I found some things that kind of struck me and was a little frightening. So in February, every February, the American Heart Association shines this bright red light on a cause that matters to all of us, or it should, our own heart health. And this is called Go Red for Women. And so I invite you to look at the American Heart Association website, and you'll get more information on how you could possibly engage in this in your community. But what it is a national movement dedicated to raising awareness of that very fact, that heart disease is the number one killer for women. And this, Regina, this struck me. This was shocking to me, that heart attacks claim more lives each year than all forms of cancer combined. That
Yes.
was like unbelievable. So here we are. We're wearing red. People across the country, because some people do it for a whole month. Some people do it. I think this 2026 year, it's February 6th is the day we all wear red, and we're really wanting to shine the spotlight on it. So we're wanting women to understand heart health, to really get in the spirit of this
Yeah.
and know. So when we think about our heart, a lot of times as apostolic women, very spiritual women, when we talk about the heart, we're thinking about relationship with God, what's going on in my heart. We're thinking about love and flowers. We're not thinking about heart attacks. We're
Yes,
thinking we're
exactly.
thinking everything but. So I just want to ask you this question: how did you kind of develop this interest? I mean, I know you're a nurse, but what started this on this journey that's now a passion for you?
Well, we do hear a lot about breast cancer, especially. It's the one that, the Susan G. Komen Foundation, and there's a big walk, and not taking anything away from that. My mother-in-law is a breast cancer survivor, thriver. And I've had a few cancer scares with, after my mammograms, and so it's very frightening. Breast cancer is
Mhm.
exceedingly frightening and very important. So please, not to take anything away from that. Go get your mammograms.
Yes.
Get your another kind of cancer. Go get your colonoscopy or do the Cologuard or whatever. When it's time, follow the recommendations of your doctor. Please get your annual checkups with your GYN, all those things. But yes, it is Something that isn't talked about very much because I think one of the things is it's complicated. It's not just a simple go get your mammogram or do a breast exam once a month or when you hit a certain age you have to go get a colonoscopy. We don't want to talk about that. That's gross and, impolite, whatever. But we I guess we could do a session on that too. But
I
anyway,
guess we could.
uh, I but I have I've had some friends who were women that had heart attacks or had um heart issues, and they were kind of floored by it because yeah, it wasn't talked about. And when you look at the statistics, it's pretty crazy that
Mhm.
you have cardiovascular disease or heart issues. Yeah, it's the largest killer of all people, but also women. And you always see the image of the man, clutching his chest, and they
Mhm.
say, if you ever feel like you have an elephant sitting on your chest, then that's a heart attack. You need to call 911. But with women, they might have those symptoms, but they also might have different symptoms. And it's a lot harder to detect because they can seem like other things. It can be that you've been feeling tired for the last 2 weeks.
Which kind of describes all mothers of children who
I've
work.
been tired for the last 52 years.
Yeah. Okay, so
Uh,
that would definitely be hard to diagnose because we tend to think that's just how we live.
right. And you and I both deal with thyroid issues. So
Yeah.
that's, fatigue. I didn't get enough sleep, I haven't been
Yeah.
getting enough sleep or whatever. You can just like blow that off really easy. Or they say with men anyway, the pain down the left arm going into your ring finger, and but with women it can be just kind of a vague ache that like goes around to your back.
Mm.
And with that you might think, well, I just slept wrong, or bit down and picked up something wrong or whatever. But
Pinched nerve.
um
See the
right.
chiropractor, which of course is a good thing to do too.
But yeah, so it's harder to like talk about. There's not
Mhm.
just one thing to do and then you're easy. It's it is more complicated. So that's, I think, one of the main reasons. And I don't know, it's just not sexy. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
breast cancer is awful, horrible.
Yeah.
But
Well, and I think what gets talked about gets attention. So I think there is this move now with this Go Red for Women. But I think we in the church, we need to be talking about it in our churches. Women make up a huge part of every congregation, so important to the church body, but also to their own families. And, so here we are, we've got women who are unaware, we're pushing through pain, we're pushing through stress and exhaustion, and we tell ourselves it's fine, or maybe it's just a little bug, or maybe it's, something like that. And we're so used to caring for other people that we're kind of the last ones we look to care for ourselves. So that's always going to be an issue if we don't stop at some point and say this really matters. But before we get too much further in, it might be helpful since, for people like myself who did not know this was the number one killer, can you just, in very simple terms, because I know that you are this brilliant nurse, and I know we've had conversations and you use big words that you have to define for me, but just can you talk about how the heart works and how things go wrong in the heart?
yeah, um, I can certainly do that. Would love to do that. And um I am used to breaking things down. I did teach my children all the way through, and when you're the mom and the only teacher, you have to find a way to get through, no matter
Yeah,
no matter
yeah.
what. And that's also something that nurses tend to be better at than doctors. If
Mm-hmm.
the doctor comes into the bedside for 3 minutes and uses long words, and the patient's just sitting there like,
Glazed and
okay,
horrified.
they don't even know what questions to ask. And then the doctor walks away and the nurse gets all the questions. So um, we tend to be better at breaking things down. Uh, Kudos to the nurse practitioners out there who are trying to do both. But
Yes.
that's one of the advantages of a nurse practitioner is they tend to have more time, and they do tend to use less. They know all the 10-cent words, but they tend to use them less. So um, just a quick like overview here of a few things that maybe some misconceptions that I can just start with.
Mm-hmm.
There's different issues with the heart. Like I said, it's complicated. One of the things that people have a misconception about is the difference between heart failure, a heart attack, and cardiac arrest.
Mm-hmm.
So let me first of all deal with cardiac arrest because I won't be talking about it anymore
Okay.
after this. Cardiac arrest is when your heart stops, just flat out stops, or maybe it's like they call it fibrillating or
Mm-hmm.
fluttering, but it's not pumping in any effective way. That's when you need CPR, you need the defibrillator, you need call 911 right now. And if they don't get to you and nobody's doing CPR in about 5 minutes, your brain is going to start having problems, brain death, et cetera, et cetera. That's cardiac arrest when your heart stops. And that's a rhythm problem. So your heart has this whole energy, like the way the energy that goes through it. And if there's a problem with that, you get, uh, you know, you have to have a pacemaker put in, or you have to have a where they go in and get burn off a little piece of the heart that was causing the problem. That's cardiac arrest. So that is not heart failure. So if your doctor tells you you have heart failure, it's not that your heart is going to stop 5 minutes from now.
Oh, good to
It,
know.
right? Because heart failure sounds
Deadly.
terrible. I better go to the hospital right now. Heart failure is when your heart isn't working well. It's just not doing its job. So what is its job? The heart's job is to pump your blood. Think of a water system at in a city. The pumping station that is putting the energy and flowing the water in the pumping station, it would be from a different source and it would clean it out. So that's not what we're talking about. But the pump that puts the like energy behind it, you get the water pressure from it. That's what the heart is doing. It's actually it's God is amazing in his design.
Yes, he is.
It's actually two pumps, two separated pumps put together. You have the right heart and the left heart. One's going to the lungs and one's going to the rest of the body. And so that one pump does both. But it's it's an amazing design. Heart failure is when your heart is still pumping, it still has a fine rhythm, but it's just not able to do its work very well.
Mm.
Maybe it's tired. Maybe some of the muscle has died and isn't able to pump efficiently. But because the heart is supposed to like squeeze and then let go and squeeze and let go. And if some of the muscle is dead or if it's overworked and it's just tired, it just can't pump efficiently. And that is heart failure. The other thing, so we have cardiac arrest, we have heart failure. The other thing that happens is a heart attack. So what's a heart attack? Well, the heart, like I said, is a pump and blood flows through it. And we know that a heart attack is a clog. We've heard of that. So I used to think when I was a teenager or whatever, that a heart attack was when all the blood flowing through the heart, like, somehow became a big clot or something.
Hmm.
It's not that. The blood flowing through it isn't affected. What it is if you think about it, every cell in your body needs oxygen. Every cell in your body needs blood supply. So the heart has its own set of blood vessels on the outside of it, on the inside of it, just getting blood to the actual heart, giving it energy. So, what happens with a heart attack is when there's a clot or a blockage in the blood flow to the heart muscle, not through, but to the heart muscle. And so, if that's clotted off, there's no way for the blood to get through to those cells. And if nothing is done about it, those cells will die. And then you'll have a less efficient part of your heart, which is heart failure,
Hmm.
which here we go again. It all actually is like a big package.
Yeah.
If you do one thing, it affects three other things. And the bad thing, the bad side of that is if you have one problem, it can affect the whole thing downstream. But if the good
Yeah.
side of it is if you fix one thing,
You can be proactive.
it
We
really, really has an impact.
well,
Yeah.
there's a term that I'm wondering about. So, my husband Stan, and he had all
Hmm.
this heart stuff happen, open heart surgery, bypasses, stents. I mean, it goes on and on.
Hmm.
But the doctor would use the term, he had a heart event.
Mm.
Is that just kind of when they're not, that sounds a little vague. Like they would just say, well, they didn't say he had this, that, or the other. They said, well, he had a heart event. He had a heart event.
Hmm.
So that kind of became, I thought, well, okay, well, that must be its own separate thing. But you're saying that's not, it was just that doctor's particular
I think it was
preference.
probably just that doctor saying, um, maybe he was trying to use simple words
Maybe.
instead of calling it a myocardial infarction
Yeah.
or whatever. Heart attack is really overused and understood, and
Yeah.
maybe they were.
Okay. So
Uh,
it's not a term that everybody uses. I just
yeah,
wanted
I
to
haven't
ask
heard
about
that a lot.
that.
Yeah, that's a good question. But no, I haven't heard that one used
Okay, well,
much.
you can add that now. You can
Okay,
put that in,
now
you've got it. So we have a picture here of this heart that's just working quietly, constantly, and I love that. It's hidden. It's the hidden part, but it keeps us alive. And again, because, we can't help ourselves, it's very similar to what goes on in that spiritual heart. We don't see it. It's working
Mhm.
behind the scenes, it's doing, and we don't notice that it's in distress or that it's under strain until it stops working and starts, really stops doing what that job we want it to do.
Right.
So I want to talk about some of the major risk for heart disease. So what causes our hearts to, if we were born with a healthy heart and all is well, what is that downward spiral?
Ah, okay. Um,
Good
again, it's
question. Good question.
that's a great. I was gonna say a softball, but that's a great question. Um, so one of the risk factors, unfortunately, is being alive. So with age, our heart, our vessels start. I don't know if it would be degrading or just start getting less efficient.
Hmm.
And this can be detected in babies as young as 1 year old.
Oh, wow.
So, and obviously, babies aren't out there smoking and they're not eating cheesecake 24/7, hopefully,
Or McDonald's, hopefully.
or McDonald's. They're not, at one, especially. It's not that they're not exercising, they're running around all over the place.
Right.
So part of it is just age. Just as we get older and older and older, our Genesis 3 happened, And here we are after the fall, and death is promised to us, and it is a gift because once we hit death, we get out of here.
Mhm.
Otherwise, oh, we'd be stuck here forever. Can you imagine? That'd be
Yeah.
awful.
Go be with the Lord, what we live our whole lives for, right?
Exactly. So age, I just want to say, is one of the things. Smoking, which is starves your body of oxygen. The nicotine puts stress on your heart. That's bad. We all know that. The whole society knows that. Vaping also, same thing. Um,
Do you think vaping has the same, um, toxicity level? Is it
it's
worse, better?
different.
Yeah, or just
It
different?
is different, but actually it can be more. It can be stronger.
Mhm.
It can have more of the drug in it. You don't have the like carcinogens from the actual paper and cigarette that you're inhaling. Uh, but it is also very bad. People don't realize that. They think it's
Mhm.
safe
Mhm.
because it's not a cigarette, but
Mhm.
it isn't. Um, our our stress level, which we've already talked about quite a bit, and as women, we are. Well, I don't think it's just women. That's not fair to the men
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
They're under stress too. I think the whole world is just stressed out.
Yeah, feeling the
And
pressure, yeah.
it's not a new thing, it's a different thing. You know, my grandparents were in the depression, and they were Oklahomans, Okies that went to California. And
Mhm.
you know, I'm sure that was very stressful when there was no social safety net. And so it's not a new thing.
Right.
It's just a different thing. And also, we talk about stress as if it's an emotional thing, which it is, but also, uh, just give you a little example. I get on my finger this kind of eczema when I'm under stress. And the time it pops out is when I travel. When I have crossed several time zones and I'm eating different foods and drinking different water and sleeping in a different bed and waking up at a different time, my body doesn't do well with that.
Mhm.
And I'll tell my husband and he'll say, "Well, what causes it?" And I'm like, It's stress." And he
Mhm.
says, "Well, you know, you need to take some deep breaths and chill out." And I'm like, "I
Thank
can do
you.
that all day. It's not just that kind of
You
stress."
have to remind him he's not that kinda doctor.
That's correct. That is correct. Um, a sedentary lifestyle. Um, I don't always. I'll need to give a disclaimer here. This doesn't mean I practice what I preach. I am a nurse. When I'm working, I get about 10,000 steps a day. But when I'm not working, I don't close those rings on my Apple Watch. So, and then there's being active and there's exercising, which are two very different things, and you need both.
Mhm.
So even if I'm active all day long and I'm getting the cardio from getting the steps, and it is called cardio, which is
Mhm.
heart. It's for your heart, which is great, but you also need some strength training to keep your muscles good. And you don't have to go overboard on it. Just a little bit of something. Can be yoga, can be Pilates, can be a little bit of running on the treadmill. I guess it's more cardio, but some weights, you know, that
Mhm.
they're not expensive. From Amazon, you can even get cute little pink ones, whatever.
Mhm.
Uh, to just do something to get a little cardio and a little strength training. At Take a walk or go to the mall, not to shop but to walk if it's cold out. This kind of thing. Genetics, swimming in the deep end of the gene pool is another risk factor, and I have it on both sides. And here I am. There's not. I didn't. If I wanted to have a healthy heart, I didn't pick the right parents. You know, because
Coulda
they
done
on.
better.
I know. What was I thinking? But they both sides high cholesterol, high blood pressure. it just is what it is. So you just have to know.
Mhm.
If you're adopted, try to figure it out. I don't know, but just be aware that it could be back there. Diabetes, because the sugar isn't in the place it's supposed to be. The insulin is supposed to get it into the cells, but instead of being in the cells, which means the cells don't have enough oxygen or whatever, uh, don't have enough fuel, it's stuck in the vessels. You have high blood sugar, and that tends to it's kind of sticky and it sticks
Mhm.
to the walls of your vessels. Overweight, being overweight. Again, it's tough.
Mhm.
Everybody knows about it in our society, but again, we're so time crunched, and it's easier to go through the McDonald's drive-through than it is
Mhm.
to go home and cook a meal or make a salad or I hate cooking. I hate.
Well, good thing
Ah,
you have a daughter who's an amazing cook, but
yes, I'm
and a
so glad
daughter-in-law. You're so
she's
blessed,
in culinary
right.
school. But the problem is right now she's in a baking class, so I
Uh,
just ate like 3 butter cookies before I came
I
here.
should have recorded with you down at your place. Well,
um,
but you mentioned that you're not great about getting the exercise, but you're intentional in some ways because, like, are you still walking to work? Like you chose to instead
yes,
of
and
driving?
that is something we can do. Now, I didn't start doing it to get the exercise, but it is uh I get about it's about 1,500 steps. I walk to work 12 minutes each way. It's a beautiful walk along a park. Now right now it's dark out, so I don't even see it, but I hear the river running next to me. Um Walking upstairs instead of taking the elevator.
Yeah.
Pushing the door open instead of using the button. Um Parking farther away from the door when you go to Walmart. Uh that kind of thing. I always give Steve, my husband, a hard time because he'll go to the gym and then or take a walk or whatever. And then he'll circle the parking lot 15 times trying to find the parking lot closest to the door. And I'm like, "Here, this doesn't make any sense." But it's what we do. So maybe
I
even
think that's just his competitive nature.
probably
I want the one closest.
everything must be done with excellence. We got to
Yes.
find the
Y
best one.
yes.
Um, Being overweight means that your heart is having to supply every one of those fat cells has to be oxygenated, and your heart has to work harder to do that. Blood pressure uh, puts pressure, it's actually pressure on the walls of your vessels, and it causes damage to the vessels, which then makes the sugar or the cholesterol stick to those spots that are kind of damaged or stretched or whatever you want to call it. It also, you have an immune response to that damage to your vessels, and white blood cells come in. The cholesterol likes to stick to those white blood cells. You can see where it's like a spiraling
Yeah,
effect.
absolutely.
So if you bring down your blood pressure, it's less likely to have the cholesterol sticking. If you are diabetic, the sugar doesn't stick as much. Or if you do have the high blood pressure, but you don't have the cholesterol there together. Or if you're diabetic, but you take care of it and you take your insulin or you take your metformin or whatever the doctor has told
Mhm.
you to do, you do it and you don't eat the butter cookies when your daughter brings it home. Um, it if you change the good thing about it is that if you change one thing, it like interrupts the chain of events.
Just one thing could do that?
One thing can really, really help. It won't take care of the whole thing. You'll still have
Mhm.
some problems. But if you bring down one of those pieces, it does break the chain. And if you do 2 or 3 of them, then it helps. So you can still age and not necessarily have a horrible heart. situation. And
Oh,
I keep saying heart, but it's actually cardiovascular, and the vascular is like the vessel part of it. So
which
it's a
we have
whole
to
big
tend to.
package.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
not tending to one thing, we're tending to several things.
right.
So I need to know this. So with our listeners, we all want to know this. So we have these signs and we kind of have this idea of what might be happening in a woman, like that we could dismiss these warning signs. So if you're not actually aware something's going wrong in your body, you don't go to the doctor, or do we just do annual? So what is the proactive for finding out my heart is not as healthy as it could be, or I need to make changes? What's the person supposed to do here?
Great question. Um, because yeah, if you feel nauseated, you're not going to immediately think, "Oh, I'm having a heart attack."
Mm-mm.
But heart attacks don't happen overnight. I mean, the heart attack does, but the heart damage, when somebody gets to the point where they're having a heart attack, they've had issues for a really long time. And the doctor, if they go to a doctor for their annual physical, I just went,
Mhm.
and they should be ordering blood panels. So you check your LDLs and your HDLs and your VLDLs and ABCs, not really, but it's like alphabet soup, and it's
Mhm.
hard to remember what all those things, which is the good and which is the bad. But get your lab values done. Look at whether, it always has a reference guide of
Mhm.
what you're supposed to be and whether you're in that or not. I am starting to need to do something about my cholesterol. Again, I'm in the deep end of the gene pool. My blood pressure is has run low, luckily, but
Mhm.
I my cholesterol's starting to build up, and so I got to do something about it because yeah, it every day that I go along with that the LDL, which is the bad, or the triglycerides too high, it's just a little bit, a tiny bit gathering up on my vessels, and I know it. So I'm going to have to do something about it.
So
So keep an eye.
is that something that can be reversed? Like if they say, "Oh, it's a little too high," can you take care of that through changing your diet or exercising more? Are there ways you can help yourself?
Yes, all of the opposites of those risk factors.
Okay.
So if you're overweight, you can lose weight. If you're living a sedentary lifestyle, you can get active. If your blood pressure is too high, you can work on getting it lower, which can be done by exercise and
Mhm.
lowering your salt intake. And yes, there are things that can be done. And if all else fails, there are medications
Okay.
that can help. You hear about your statins.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of people have either have had trouble with or are scared of statins. But I don't think he'd mind me saying it. My husband's on a statin. It has helped his cholesterol so much, and he has had no side effects from it.
Oh, that's
So,
wonderful.
so he has less goop building up in his
Mhm.
vessels because he's on a statin. He also is on a blood pressure medication because he did the exercise. He tried lowering the salt. We don't cook with salt. Candace is having trouble in culinary school because she doesn't know how much salt to put in because we don't put any salt in.
Right.
Um, so, but none of that was helping enough. So
Mhm.
he is on Lipitor, or not Lipitor. He's on a, a blood pressure medication
Mhm.
to just not much, it's like half a pill or something to just help bring that down. And again, that decreases the damage over
Mhm.
time.
So anything that we can do, it's just, if we want to be there for our families, if we want to be there and fulfill our purpose in life and live for God and and be involved and do all those things, because not only all the things that you're talking about, I mean, even if it hasn't led up to death, you can't possibly be feeling well if you have all these negative things going on in your body. And if we're not feeling well, we don't feel like getting up and exercising. We're not, all these
Right.
things are against us. And so, really becoming aware. So it sounds like, and I'm with you. I would rather go to have that annual, get the blood work done. I'm very much about the preventative, like
Yes.
I want to do as much preventative work as I can. I think that's just, wisdom. And if our body is whispering to us all along, we need to pay attention and not discount it, listening to those signals. Um, so yeah, we've got some ways of getting our heart healthy. So it's regular checkups, having a healthy diet, trying to get that exercise in, get up and start moving in very intentional ways. Cardiac is about having movement, the cardio to the cardiac.
Mhm.
And
That's correct.
so, but also building muscle, the weightlifting, managing our stress. And when you were talking about that, I thought that is so true. For me, stress is not an emotion like, oh my goodness, I'm so stressed. It's not. It'll play out in a physical condition. Like I'll start
Mhm.
noticing something physically, and I'll go, okay. I am a firm believer in the 8 hour a night, at least trying to get that 8 hour a night and doing all that. So it's all doable. That's all
It is.
doable.
It is.
And then we have to think about too, our emotions play into it.
Yes.
If there's problems in relationships, that plays into it. So really, it's about your rhythm of life. It's about that
Mm.
whole picture of life. Because I know people who eat healthy, they exercise, but maybe they're also maybe not spiritually healthy or emotionally healthy, and so they're still experiencing problems.
Right. The anxiety, the all of that, the the stress response,
Mhm.
um, the cortisol and all the stress hormones is another factor in that whole buildup of gook on the inside of
Yeah.
your vesicles. Yeah.
Yeah, we
The
can't
other thing,
escape it, can we?
yeah, yeah. Um, it when we're talking about what to eat, uh, you know, it gets very complicated very fast. So let me talk about a couple things we can
Okay.
do
Great.
to try to eat better. Uh, Obviously, staying out of the drive-throughs is tends to be one of the things, but
Yeah, all
um,
drive-throughs. I don't wanna just pick on McDonald's, right? Sorry,
yeah,
McDonald's.
eh, yeah. Um, eating eating real food, and by that I mean it didn't come out of a box. It
Mhm.
wasn't processed. Even our bread now is a loaf of bread is considered a processed food
Mhm.
because it's not cooked like your grandma cooked a loaf of bread. It's totally processed. Everything from the flour to how fast it's cooked.
Mhm.
Um, so try to one thing they say as far as amount and eating less is to get a smaller plate so that you feel like you're getting enough
Mhm.
and you don't look like, oh, look at how little I'm eating. No, get a smaller plate, fill it up. Eat slower because it allows your body to realize, oh, I'm getting fed, I'm getting full. I tend to scarf down my food. I have a 30-minute break at work and I don't want to spend the whole time eating. So I
Mhm.
just, 10 minutes of just, blah, 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 and then I sit there and try to get rid of some of that stress.
Yeah.
But if we can slow down, something else they say is to drink some water 15 minutes beforehand so that your belly feels a little full already. Look at your plate, your small plate, and see, does it have different colors on it? If it's
Mhm.
all brown, then that's probably not good. You want some oranges on there. You want some greens on there. Yeah, a little brown here too. But make sure there's some color on your plate. When you're shopping at the grocery store, they tend to put the things in the boxes, more processed foods in the middle of the store, and they put the other things on the edges of the store. So your fresh things are going to need more refrigeration. They're going to be on the outside.
So
Um,
just circle the whole the whole sides and try to avoid the
right.
middle.
Now you'll have to go in the middle some because we got to have coffee. I mean,
let's
but
let's be realistic here.
maybe you do coffee beans and those are on the
Yeah.
edges too, you know. I don't know, but just some little things that don't have to be a big deal. Put the salt shaker away, use Mrs. Dash.
Mhm.
You know, those Mrs. Dash has some really good flavors nowadays. There's
Absolutely.
like 5 different ones. There's a lemon pepper one. There's all kinds of good stuff out there. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I have to take a nutrition class and learn everything. Go
Simple
to the
substitutes maybe.
right, exactly. Go to the doctor and do what they say. I
Mhm.
know we as Pentecostals, this is one of my pet peeves, and I hope you don't get offended. I'll say it's a personal thing. We tend to, the fact that we believe in the Holy Spirit and the infilling of the Holy Ghost means that how can I say this? The fact that we believe that that happens,
Mhm.
we are also we tend to believe conspiracy theories, or we tend to believe the newest fad diet. We don't have to have everything backed with science. We're a little more gullible for the the Facebook rumor or the Facebook news, you know. They say that if you're sick, you put a potato in the room and you'll get well. You know, this kind of thing.
Mhm.
We tend to do that somewhat with our diet too. And just do the basic things you know to do.
All right, no potatoes in the room. I'm not.
I don't know if it was a potato or a lemon or an onion. I think it was
An
an onion.
onion. Yeah, put onions on your feet. It'll draw all the toxins out. I'm like, "Oh my
Yeah.
word. Oh, I'm
As
terrified."
as but as Pentecostals we say, "Oh, we don't drink. We don't smoke. Aren't we healthy?" And we go out to eat afterward and we order the fattiest thing on the menu, and I'm putting myself in there.
Mhm.
No stones thrown because I'm bad about it too. I love eating out and I never pick the salad. I'm sorry. I just don't. So,
Well, I think it really comes down to, if we link excuse me, if we link the stewardship to health, the First Corinthians 6 passage 19, do you not know your bodies are the temples of the Holy Spirit
oh
who is in
yes.
you? Therefore, honor God with your body. So there is, even if we tend to, um, you know, I'm not saying we over spiritualize or under spiritualize or whatever, but I do think that there is enough scripture to support, like, I've given you this, and yes, there is the Genesis 3, the brokenness, and death came into the world, and these things are going to happen, but maybe it doesn't have to happen like this, or you don't have to have poor quality of life because of this. And so I think that is that call where God through his word is reminding us, you can take stewardship over yourself. And we have had, we were called to steward in Genesis. So I think stewarding now is just as important. Well, we're kind of running out of time, but thank you so much for expertise that you have brought to us. I just want to say, in case we missed it, is there anything you want to add to this that we may have overlooked?
Actually, I do have a couple of tiny things, which
Okay.
is, since this is geared toward women, when we hit menopause, we lose our as much estrogen. And estrogen is one of the things that keeps our vessels like squishy. They protect our it protects our vessels. So you should expect, I should expect, when we go through menopause, like I said, my numbers have gone up. And that's because I'm an older woman. So be waiting for that expected to happen because you don't have as much estrogen protecting your heart and your vessels anymore. The other thing that is unique to women is, and I hadn't heard about this honestly until I did research for this. But if you are a woman who had issues during pregnancy with gestational diabetes or eclampsia or preeclampsia. Well, the diabetes has the whole sugar thing involved in it, and the eclampsia, preeclampsia has a blood pressure piece of it. Those are a risk factor
Hmm.
for later on developing heart disease, and I didn't know that.
No, I
So if
did
you're a
not.
woman who had those issues during pregnancy, have a discussion with your doctor. Just be a little more on the lookout and go, do I need to it's just a risk factor. You're a little more likely to have heart issues later on. And yeah, as women it's different, but it's
Mhm.
still so important.
So important, especially understanding now, like more than all cancers combined, this ends women's lives, and I'm just like I'm hoping our listeners are truly hearing, not out of a fear, not
Right.
motivated by fear, but hopefully it is motivation to say, I'm valuable. It's worth taking a little time off of work or a little time out of my day to get that annual, talk to the doctor, figure it out because it's not just about like one, everything feeds into the other. And we want to
Right.
take care of our whole body, every part of us so that we can be more productive in our families' lives. We can do more for the kingdom of God. So how are you caring for the body God gave you? Important question. And then it's linked to not just that physical heart, but also your spiritual heart. Both of them matter and both of them need care. So this is a call to action, really. Regina and I are both saying, hey, wear red, become aware, do something to make a difference, and not only in yourself, but invite your friends and the women in your church. Hey, listen to this, become proactive with me. Let's get this conversation going. So, yes, I'm asking you to share this episode with your friends, your family, your neighbors, your coworkers, whoever. You can follow us at Let's Talk on Reflections at Apple Podcast, Spotify, or the YouTube channel, so you don't have to miss an episode. And I hope that you will mark your calendars and be wearing red on February the 6th for Go Red for Women, Heart Health Awareness. And it's more than a color, right, Gina? It's a commitment. And that's
Yeah.
what we're asking for. Thank you for joining us, Regina. Thank you for your wisdom, helping us to learn. And until next time, God bless, and we will see you soon.